Right, well done. It is object there. Okay, let's just end that one, and I'll go on to the next one. And then that way we can be a little bit ahead so that when you go and restart that lab, it will be there for you and you'll have a little bit more time. So let me just close that one down and start this one up. Usually that happens between breaks, so you don't usually see that. All right, let's have a look at the AI document intelligence solution. So this might be another one of the skills you could use, or the pipeline of work that you're going to be using in the document intelligence. You could actually just incorporate that into the previous knowledge base. So we're going to, in this case, use the pre-built functions, and we'll also train a custom document intelligence model. So that was the demo that I wanted to show you as well. So developing a document intelligence solution, we want to have a look at, this is an area that's actually experiencing a lot of growth at the moment. So there's still a lot of need to digitize a lot of things. We've still got things on forms that need to be read in. So we aren't completely digital yet, but hopefully when we do become digital, I suppose, it's going to be a lot easier using tools like this. First of all, I suppose it does allow you, with the custom document intelligence, you can do two types of document intelligence custom jobs. One is to recognize what's in a form and extract that information, put the bounding boxes in the labels when you do the training, and then basically you get some unseen form, you put that in and it works it all out and it extracts out the information you want. The other one is a classification. So working out what type of form it is. So you might have multiple documents coming into your organization. You want to put them in different, send them to different training models. This one, or not even, you don't even have to do that these days. You can actually use multimodal document intelligence, and it not only classifies the step, it then goes on and extracts the data. But say you were doing some other things with them, so you needed a different pipeline and a different approach to each one of those documents, then you could send it down a different path in an automated pipeline, for example, or a custom API, a custom application that would then call different functions, similar to the intents one that we talked about before with language. And you can also, there you go, you can connect an app to the document intelligence APIs. So there's a wealth of pre-built models these days. For the tax forms, unfortunately with Australia, no, they're not Australian tax forms, they're definitely US. So Darryl might get some use out of that one. The 104 tax form and the 109T or 99, I can't remember which one it is. Americans seem to know all of their form numbers.
You mean 1099?
1099, that's it, 1099. 109, good on you. See? Americans know their forms. I don't know how they remember all those forms.
You have to, because it's mandatory. It depends if it's applicable to you. But I'm a CPA, a certified public accountant by background, so that's why I have to pass that as a course in college. So.
So this will be a very relevant example for you. But then there are the more run-of-the-mill type things like receipts, invoices, any identity cards, business cards, contracts, and yes, the tax forms there at the bottom. So these are the pre-built models. But if you want to even take one and train it yourself, we'll show you how to do that. We'll use the, I think it's the 1040, one of the forms that we'll try that out on. The other thing you can do is you can use, there's three different things you can do with the model. So you can either read, find the layout, or a general document as well. So we'll have a look at what that means. We'll also have a look at the custom models. So you can have templates, neural or composed. So neural is going to go into a lot more depth. It's going to be for the more complicated options. I'm seeing if I've got any notes. I've got some other notes coming later, I think, for this one. And of course, there's also the concept of supervised and unsupervised. So that's where you'll take a form that's maybe already labelled. You might have labelled that previously. Or if it's unsupervised, you need to label it. So that's one of the first steps there. So we don't really have a way of grouping data together. It's just when you actually go to do that, you'll have at least 5 examples of the form, then supervised, to turn it from an unsupervised into a supervised. So usually when you talk about unsupervised data and data science, you're talking about doing a different type of modeling technique, but in this case we're just turning it from unsupervised to supervised. So it's not really that big of a mystery like you normally have with unsupervised data. So reading the OCR for printed and written, that's the read option there. The layout extracts text and structure, and the general extracts text, structure, and key value pairs there. So this might be a nice way also, instead of using Q&A, you could possibly think about extracting out key value pairs and using that as input to something else. So that could also be something, or you might want to upload it into a NoSQL database, or you might want to even make it more relevant and have it relational and put in a relational database. Just depends what you're trying to do. And this pre-prompt models, of course, we had that one there we talked about. Here's some notes on the custom models there. So custom template extracts data from static layouts. Neural is a little bit of a mixed type document, so a little bit more complex. And custom composes a collection of multiple models all together in the same area. So that one needs classification, and it also needs extraction in that one document, in that one model. It's provisioned as a single document intelligence, or you can use Azure AI service. So same as the others before, the only real difference is you might get that free tier, and you also have different keys. So here's a good example. It's probably easier to do the demo rather than just looking at the static information of the receipt, the invoice, and the business card. So I'm just going to bring that up and go over to document intelligence. You can see there's your 1040 form. So I was just playing with that before, just making sure it was working okay. So I'm just going to go back to whether I should change that now. Let's go back. And you can see those first 3 there, read, layout, and general documents. But if I was to choose something like something that was pre-canned, you can also see mortgage, US pay stubs, banks. So they're always adding things in here, checks, and credit cards, marriage certificates, contracts, business cards. So if you just choose invoices, for example, you'll see what it looks like. You can see I was trying to work out my security before. So it's got some good pre-canned examples that you can try out in this environment. So the first thing you want to do is run the analysis, and it's going to work out some of the pertinent information on this one. You can see there's a table format there, and it's done a pretty good job. On the right-hand side, it's actually got the address, the billing address, and when you hover over it, it will highlight it in the document as well and give it a different colour. The amounts, so there you go, the amounts right down at the bottom. And then you can see other things like where we're going to build to. Now these are all labels, all of these top level ones, and also the sub-labels, they're all part of the labelling process. So this is one that is pre-canned, so you don't have to do any additional work there. There's also some additional analyze options when you have a look in here. So you can do all the documents if you want, or a range, a page range, but what's interesting in here is you can also extract out barcodes if you have different languages, and also key value pairs we talked about before. And you can also, if you're, that's a premium setting, but there's some pricing associated with that, high resolution style font and formulas. So if, for example, you're looking to see what sort of font's being used and you have a standard, you can do that, your formulas, and also choose that at a higher resolution there as well. So if I go down to here, that one's done a good job. I don't know whether there's any bar charts in these ones, no, probably not. So it's able to do all those sorts of ones. Let's go to receipts. So there's a receipt. I should be using this for my expenses. So I think it actually does that, and our expense product actually works these out if you scan these as well. So run analysis. I don't think there's a barcode on that one, but there you go. It's done a pretty good job of that, working out what you purchased. For all those people that need to keep their receipts for tax, that might be a good one as well. There's one in Japanese. We can run that one as well. Let's have a go at that one. So these are all the pre-canned examples. So there you go. It's picked out, it's told you what it is, but it hasn't converted for you. That's okay. What else have we got there? It's picked up Contoso, so I don't know where it picked that up. It's also picked up the word total, so it's actually put those in English there, which is interesting. And what else have we got here? Let's go and have a look at some of the others. Also tells you helpfully what the API version is that you're using. And what was the other one? Business cards. So even if it's on an angle, it doesn't have any problems with that either. So you should pick up Chris Smith without any trouble at all. There you go. And there you go, Chris Smith. You can also see the results there. If you want to use that for other things, you want to take that and do something else with it down the track in your code. And there you go, you can actually get a head start on your coding there. It gives you a sample of code. So you can either go Python, JavaScript, or C, and then you can download that as well, or copy that. So it gives you lots of good examples there. I don't know whether personal tax, this will be a W-2 form in this example, so run analysis. Yeah, so it does a pretty good job. We've also seen schematics, so it does a pretty good job of picking up information schematics as well, so it does a very good job. All right, so that's only if you want a pre-built one, but of course, what do you do when you want to do a custom one? So we'll be looking at a custom one next. That's the 3 examples there. And then if you're calling the API, there you can see it's actually still under the old name. It used to be called Form Recognizer prior to this new version of Document Intelligence. So that was its old name, and you can see you can pick the version there. And if you're going for the pre-built ones there, you can use the pre-built option. And there's an example of using it from C and Python, just setting that up and then calling it and getting the result there from the Polar. So you can send the request and the Polar will return the result, and then you just need the REST returns the operation location header, and the SDK returns an object for the request. Then you go and query that Polar when you are using that and have it interrogate that information that's coming back. There's the API response. And you can see in this one, it's got basically the bounding boxes there. So we didn't look at it in too much detail. It's got a confidence score and what page it's on, all that sort of good stuff as well. And what it's used, some of the metadata there. SDK response object has similar structure. It's broken down similarly. And this is just a subset of the REST response. Additional data from detected text or selected marks, such as the bounding boxes there, and handwritten data. You can do a good job of that. All right, let's go and do the, we actually did a bit of a demo doing that. So let's have a look at the custom model now. We can apply a label to the entire document. And that's going to be like, the label might be invoice, or it might be business card, or it might be resume. So that's the label they're talking about. So you can train it first to work out what type of document it is, and then you can move on to the second step of if it's basically resume, then the labels that it has been trained on will be things like the person's name, their keywords, they've got skills on, that sort of thing. So It's ideal for sorting large number of incoming document types. So if you're getting a lot coming in through the same service and it's not same application, it's not got any distinction for all the data coming in, you can pretty much use this and work out what it is and then extract it. It requires at least 2 different classes, that's all, a minimum of 5 labels per class, and 1 type of training model. That's all you need to do everything. Here's an example of when you actually go to do the extraction. You need to then put all the labels in there, so you'll create them as you go. I'll show you how to do that. It requires 5 examples, just the same sort of thing. And you can have 2 training methods. One is custom template, which is quicker, it's 1 to 5 minutes, and it does a very good job at the more structured, more better layout, whereas the training time, sorry about this, I've got this little blob on the page, the training time for the custom mural is 20 to 60 minutes, and it picks up unstructured data as well. So both structured and unstructured. So if you've got something more along the lines of a handwritten note, it's going to do a good job of picking out the information in that. So you'll be using one of the 2 different options, either template. So we'll be using, for the 104.0 forms, we'll just, even though there was already a out-of-the-box option, we're actually going to do that one to show you how to train that one from scratch. So you follow these steps. The first thing is to create a project, and that's where I was having all that trouble with the storage. And then you go and add the data types. So I'll show you how to do that. You select the word in the document, and then you repeat that until you've completed all the labels that you want to see. And then you can say there's also an auto label as well. If it is a pre-built document, you can use that to assist you. And then you can train the model. So there's a few options there. When you get the responses back, we'll have a look at this as well. It'll say what the accuracy was. So I'll make a couple of mistakes as I'm doing it, so you can see the difference there. After training, custom model has estimated the accuracy score, so you can see for each of these labels, it's doing a pretty good job. Signature edited done a pretty bad job, so it's only 44.8%, so that's pretty low. I'd be expecting to get somewhere around 60, 70, 80%. You can see, excuse me, Mail there has worked a treat, and probably because that at symbol adds the weight of it. It's same for using the pre-built. You still get that confidence score, indicates how well it's done, and then you can provide in the response from the model for each predicted label. So that way you can double check to see whether you want to go back to the drawing board and add more models, or whether you think that that's accurate enough, in which case it can go and automatically choose that data and put that into the next part of the workflow. So analysing the documents, basically they're using the custom model. It requires the endpoint if we're doing it from SDK, using SDK. It needs to include the ID of your deployed model, so that's another thing you need. And you need to query the poller to get the result there. So there's good examples of C# and Python there. So let's go to the demo. This was hopefully, let's go back. So I'm going to go to the Document Intelligence Studio. So right down the bottom is actually the custom models. So you can do the classification model if you want, or you can do the custom extraction. So let's get started with the custom extraction. And if you want, try it out in your lab. You should have enough time to extract this out, but also you can just go and try a classification. If you go and grab some of the documents from some of the GitHub repositories for this particular lab, you'll actually see there's a whole lot of training and testing data in there. So let's go with creating a project. JR, and we'll just put a bit of a date on there, 17/10/2024, and we'll say that's tax, and we're going to use security with that, so just so I can differentiate. And the first thing there is to choose the subscription and then choose the resource there. So I'm going to go over to OpenAI, and that's actually where my, oh, pardon me, that's not where it is. It's actually in JRAI resource group. It'll go and pick out the relevant things, so you can see my document intelligence with SAS. I don't think I really need that anymore, but that's okay. I'll choose that. And you set the API. So as you can see, there's a whole lot of API previews there. So let's just go. I tend to not usually use the latest. Let's just leave it as default for now. You might get an instruction in your lab to pick a particular one. Make sure you choose the one that's telling you to try that one. Let's try that one. So then I've got to go and get the data source, which has got all the information in it. So that one is the OpenAI resource group. And for this one, I'll go and pick OpenAI resource group, and now it's picking up the blob container for that. So my data is already uploaded in forms document Intel. I'm just going to leave the path blank because there is no subpath, and then I'm going to create the project. So fingers crossed I set up the security correctly. All right. So it has automatically brought in these from before. Now I actually have one more document in there, which is the unseen document. So I'm going to go through now. It's brought me in to do the labeling. I can try auto labeling. It'll probably do a fine job at that. But first of all, we have to determine what labels we really want to recognize in this information. So do we want to just pick the person's first name? So let's say we're going to create a field, and first name, we're going to call it first name, and then hit enter. And now we have that label ready to go. I might see what else we want to basically pick up in here. I've got last name. I've also got, if they're joint return, the spouse's first name. So I might just skip over last name, and we'll go spouse's, just do something a little bit different, spouse's first name, and add that, just hit enter. And then I'm going to pick up, I'm going to pick up Helen there. So let's just pick up the state. We don't want this to take too long, this exercise. So state, and add that. And I suppose we could go through and pick up some of these numbers if we really wanted to. So that looks like total income. Let's put in total income as well. So new field, total income. And you can see back here, there's also some other options. Oops. I spelled that wrong, but it doesn't really matter. It's your label. You can do whatever you want. Okay, so first name, what we do is just go and start to highlight in the document. Oh, I've got to run the layout first. Always forget to do that. So it's just analysing what that looks like first. So we're not doing auto labeling or anything like that. We're just having a look at the document. Always forget to do that. So now it's allow me to pick up certain things. So first name, spouse's first name, jump ahead, total income, and state, New York. Okay, so that is done. I've actually labelled that now, and I'll go move on to the next one there. So run the layout. Go and do that for all of them. Don't have to wait too long. And remember, you need at least 5.
Hey Jane, is there any call to API to run this layout automatically for all the files?
I don't know. I don't think there is, but yeah, you can use the auto labeling as well, I think. But yeah, I don't think there is a way to automatically do that. I mean, once you've trained 5, it's ready to go anyway. So it's not a huge effort at the beginning. I'll just delete this one just in case I haven't retained one for later. But it's not, yeah, I'm not sure whether there is an API for this. Yeah, so sorry about that. So with this one, we continue on. We've already run the analysis, so I'll just zoom in a bit so that we have a little bit more, so we can see a little bit better. So this one's got a first name but doesn't have a spouse name. So we're not going to get as good of score for spouse name because we've missed one, right? So I'll go and put in the state and then go and put in the amount there, total income. And we're going to move on to the next one then. So it doesn't take too long. It's quite relaxing. And we do have one for the spouse name. The state, we don't have a state, so we're going to get a bad score on that. And that's when you have to start to think, if you're getting a really bad score, do I go back and do some more retraining by adding something in there? And the total amount there, along with Massachusetts. All right, so save that. And last one there. James, first name. And what else have we got? State, California. And then the total income there. All right, so we now have enough data. We're going to go and train. So we choose a model ID. You see I've got one there. So tax forms, and then we have our model description. So 1040 tax forms, name and spouse name, something like that. And then the option there around neural, don't choose that in the lab, otherwise it'll take an hour. I've done that before, so choose template for this one. So it does a lot more thorough job, but of course, then that's where you probably wouldn't just use template. You would go back and use neural and let it train over an hour. But just for, in interest of time for the demo, that's what you would do. So go to models, and we'll see the model there now. And we can test it out with some new data now. So just waiting for that. Training has succeeded. Here it comes. And then we can go and have a look at that data. And you can see for the ones we didn't have enough, or state, didn't have any trouble with state. That could be because, that's probably a well-known entity and it's been able to work that one out. But spouse's name, it really did struggle with that because we only had 2 examples, or 3 examples out of the 5. So we'll go and test something that's unseen. So go and browse for files. That's why I deleted number 5 before. Oh, I don't want that one. Let's come up with that. All right, let's go and, I thought it was going to come from the URL, but that's all right. Let's go and grab, where had I got it? I've got, let me see. So dev, I should have some in there in dev, and maybe not. Going blind. Open AI. Nope. Right, go back up to, where are we? C. I'm going to go to C drive. Go to users. Go into the dev drive there. I think. Or we might even, there you go, there's some document intelligence ones there. They've always got these things kicking around, you just got to go and put them in one place. So this is a custom model. Look at the training data, and we do have a test document I can use for the 1040, which is number 7. I don't know why I didn't find that. It was actually uploaded, so, oh no, we deleted it, that's what I did. So let's choose number 7, we won't choose number 5. And then we'll run the analysis on that. And it should do a good job of picking that up. So we're looking for the fields over here. Similar to what we did when we already had a pre-trained, so we've now just created this pre-trained example, and it's done a good job, even though basically we didn't have as much information. It's only slightly worse for the confidence score, and you can see it's picked up Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, pardon me, and you've got the total income spelled incorrectly. So it's been able to do a pretty good job. And the one that we didn't have much data for, it's done an okay job. You can go and get the results and the code. So you'll be doing this in your example, and I'll double check to see if there are any APIs for that as well. APIs for labeling. But there's probably lots of other tools on the market where you can go and create the labels in JSON anyway, and you could probably work that out pretty easily by the fact that these are all in the same place. But once it starts to get unstructured, that's where it's going to take a lot longer. All right, that's it. So we'll go into, we've got about another half hour for lunch. So what we'll do now is we'll go and go back to the content. Oh no, we've got the lab coming up. Going crazy. All right, so I think don't try the lab that we had problems with. Try this lab instead. Oh, the other thing I have to remind you is the survey. So when you get a chance, make sure you fill in the survey. There's a survey there I've put in the chat window. You will get an email as well. So I'll just put the survey, just so you know it's a survey. And I'll remind you again later, give you some dedicated time after lunch to do the survey as well. And that's the way that we actually improve on what we're doing and make these courses a lot better for everybody as well. So let's go and have a look at testing, training and testing of custom document. So let's go in there now. More labs. Labs are so exciting. Let's have a look at this one. So it's the last one for the day. And we'll come back to this one this afternoon. So it didn't hurt us too much having to come back to this because we have enough time during the day. But sorry that it went a bit pear-shaped for you all as well. So labs now on. That one should be okay. If we need to go later to lunch, we will. But it should be okay to get that done by 12:30. You can see it didn't take me very long to do. This is a little bit simpler than the one you're doing, but you get the idea. Let's leave it at 36 past. All right. So you get 4:45. Any questions or anything that didn't quite make sense? Good question on the API too, by the way. All right. Let's go for the lab. Don't do the other lab. You won't have enough time in 45 minutes unless you want to run it to lunch. All right. Enjoy.